Cool. So thank you all so much for your time and for your engagement in the Trailblazers. Oh, thanks, Molly. Yeah, congrats to Amish. For your time in and your participation in this amazing Trailblazers program that we've got set up between Fleming Initiative and CSIRO. As you all know, everyone on the call is representing a nominating organisation. So just thank you so much for being a part of that. Bronwyn, I don't know if there's anything else you wanted to say before I sort of launch into the next steps.
Oh, it's been a long day, Kate, so very happy to have you do it.
No problem.
I wonder if we could do intros. I don't know if you were just about to do that, Kate, but I know some people on the call, but not all.
No problem. So yeah, we'll just do a round. So the sort of plan for the call is basically to give you an overview of the next steps of the Trailblazers process. So you're all the representing nominating organisations, and just sort of next steps in terms of, when nominations are closed, individual nominations are closing, shortlisting, select what the selection panel will look like, and what the next steps after that. So that's a great suggestion, Julie. So we'll just start with a round of introductions. So I'll start. My name is Kate. I'm the behavioural science lead at the Fleming Initiative, and I'm supporting in this Trailblazers initiative. Over to you, Bronwyn.
Hello, I'm Bronwyn Morgan. I lead the Antimicrobial Resistance Consortium at CSIRO, which is Australia's National Science Agency, and we have a partnership with the Fleming Initiative, and this is our first joint initiative that we've launched.
Thank you, Bran. I'm just going to go around my screen. So Julie, if you wouldn't mind going next.
Thanks, Kate. Julie Brady, representing LifeArc, a medical research organisation in the UK, becoming a partner in the Fleming Initiative.
Thank you, Julie, and thanks for being here today. Jay, over to you.
Hi, I'm Jay. I lead the Access to Medicine Foundation in the Netherlands.
Thanks, Jay. Chris.
Can you hear me okay? Yep. Hi, everyone. I'm Chris Engwin. I'm part of the CSIRO Minimising AMR team, along with Bronwyn, and I manage the strategic comms and design aspects of the project.
Thank you, Chris. Richard.
Hi, everyone. My name's Richard Alm. I'm representing CARBX. We're a global funder of antibacterial research globally.
Thanks, Richard. Toby, over to you.
Hi everyone, I'm Toby Leslie. I'm the Global Technical Lead for the Fleming Fund programme based at Mont Macdonald Limited, which is a company that holds the contract to be the management agent for the Fleming Fund on behalf of Department of Health and Social Care, here in the UK, I should say.
Thank you. Martin, over to you.
Hello, my name is Martin Mondong. I represent AMR Insights based in the Netherlands, and AMR Insights focuses on informing, educating and connecting professionals in the domain of antimicrobial resistance. Thank you.
And last but not least, Molly, over to you.
Hi, good morning, everyone. I am Molly Moss, the Director of Global Health at the UN Foundation and based in New York, where the day is just getting started.
I know, I was thinking, Molly, it's very early for you. Thank you. Super. And I'm just going to share my screen. Hopefully this should work. So I'm hoping you can all see that slide now. Let me know if there's any problems. But yes, so as you know, so this is just a sort of overview meeting just to discuss the next steps, lay out what the process will look like over the next couple of months, and an opportunity to ask any questions. I will do my best to answer all of them. If there's any outstanding, I can always go back to the team and come back to you on them. So first, just I think most of the nominating organisations are represented on here. If you're not there, then you'll be on the next one. But yeah, thank you to all our nominating organisations for their involvement in this process so far. So I think you should probably all know this, but I'm just going to go through it again just to sort of hopefully clear up any inconsistency. So you're all in this top line, top two circles, which is that selecting nominating organisations. You have all selected up to 5 nominees for the Trailblazers within your own organisations or within your own networks and submitted those to us. So we've got all of those. Thank you very much. At the same time, these have now closed as of today, but the individual nominations have been open. So anyone who's just to try and be a bit more equitable. And, you know, if you're not well known by an organisation, you can still be nominated for this process. So the individual nominations have been open. So us at the Fleming Initiative and CSIRO are in the process of vetting those individual nominations, just, you know, making sure that they're eligible, going through the scoring criteria, and then all of those nominations will be put together. We're then in the process of producing one-page summaries for each nominee that's been nominated. So these will just synthesize, sort of summarize the candidates, just put all the information there for you, for your shortlisting, you know, on a one page, sort of lots of bits of analytics, facts about the candidate. So it might include, you know, their outputs, their memberships, their sort of media engagement, lots of different things. So they're in process at the moment. We're hoping that, obviously we've got 5 per nominating organisation. There might be we will have some additional individual nominations together. So we'll put all of those together in a pack and send them over to you. I've got a timeline slide next, so don't worry about timelines. This is just sort of the process. So the next step will be all of those one pages will be sent round to the selection panel. So that will be a representative or 2 from each of the nominating organisations. The hosts, we're also hoping that Dame Sally Davis' office will be represented in that shortlisting, and some public partners as well. So the shortlisting process will take place. We'll then come back to the host organisations to sort of aggregate all those scores, rank the nominees, just double checking in terms of eligibility, representation across, you know, the One Health spectrum, the globe. So we'll do a final review by the host organisations, and then we will have our shortlist of Trailblazers. I think that has been agreed that we will have up to 20, so somewhere between 10 and 20 Trailblazers that will be sort of named as a result of this. We'll have a big communications package, bit of a song and dance about all of them. That will take place in November. It'll be announced during World AMR Awareness Week, and then the winners will attend the AMR Summit in February 2026. So in terms of timeline, I've kind of just gone through that, but this is where we are. So right now we're right here at the start of June. So nominations from the nominating organisations were open. They are still open. There is an opportunity. I think we're waiting for one more nominating organisation to send us their shortlist of 5, but most of you have already done that, so thank you. The individual nominations, as I said, have already closed. We will then do our vetting by the beginning of July, spend July putting together all those one pages for all of you, and then the shortlisting will be open to the panel at the start of August. There'll be 2 months then for you for the sort of representative from each nominating organisation to do that shortlisting, send that back to us, and then that sort of final step of reviewing and just double checking and making sure will happen October time, with the Trailblazers announced at the end of November. So this might get a little bit repetitive, but I'll go through them both because I just want to make sure I don't miss anything. So as I said, individual nominations, it's actually, I think it's the 2nd of June today, isn't it? Yep. So they closed yesterday. As I said, this just allows us to make sure our nomination process has got a good reach, not just limited to people that are already well known or known by individual organisations. They have a little bit more of a requirement in terms of the evidence that they have to submit than from the nominating organisations. So, you know, they've put statements together as to why they should be nominated, what their suitability is. And as I said, they will have, unlike your nominations that came into us, and they're the 5 that are going through, they will be vetted by us just to make sure they are eligible and appropriate. So shortlisting process, as I've said, would be sort of, you'll all hopefully take part in the shortlisting process with us. We'll join the host organisations and some external experts. As I said, we'll have lovely one-pagers provided for you, so hopefully it should be a reasonably quick process for you to go through each of the nominations. We'll ask you to score the applications, and you'll get this information in a pack. I will run through the scoring, the shortlisting criteria and the scoring rubric in a minute, but you will see these one pages. What you won't see is the individual nomination, the candidate's name, so you will be blinded to that. And And like I said, we're sort of really aiming for this good geographical and discipline represented across our winners in this process. So I think I've said all that. There's nothing really else to add just on the one-page summaries, but just to really highlight that they're sort of, I mean, they won't be truly anonymous, but their names won't be on there. The other thing just to note on that I haven't said already is that if the candidates have had multiple nominations, so it may well be that, you know, as nominating organisations, you've all put the same person forward, that will be noted in the scoring criteria and will sort of lead to additional points for that person, the same if they're represented in the individual nominations. So the shortlisting criteria, we've got 10 fields that we'll go through with the sort of, each one's got a quite straightforward definition. The first three, so quite straightforward, concerns about any eligibility. Have they been nominated by multiple organisations? Is there an attempt to address inequity in the work that that individual is doing? They will be scored yes or no. You'll have the opportunity to put some qualitative, so just free text comments about your feelings about those questions. And then just to sort of highlight that the number of times someone's been nominated will equal a point, but up to a maximum of 8. So if they've been nominated by 5 nominations, they'll get an extra 5 points. Then we've got sort of Likert scale from 1 to 5, and I'll show you the scoring rubric on the next slide, but that will be sort of looking at what positive impact that nominee has had in terms of, you know, their impact on the field of AMR, not related essentially just to AMR, but thinking about their work, you know, outside of that, their positive impact. So, and that's split into 2. So we've got sort of a local or a regional impact scored from 1 to 5, and then we've got a global impact, again, scored from 1 to 5. We're asking you to look at their work from a sort of lens of, is this original? Is it original contributions to the field? Does it sort of, you know, are they a leader in terms of what they're doing and their ideas and what they're having? So again, that's rated from 1 to 5. Similar, you know, what's their vision? You know, how are they pushing the boundaries within their field? How are they pushing the boundaries of what we're achieving to work towards, you know, mitigating antimicrobial resistance? And then the last 3 are thinking more about their sort of skills and delivery. So leadership, you know, are they a leader? Are they a leader in the future? Are they creating a platform for future leadership through the work, and that the trailblazer, you know, by becoming a trailblazer, we could really develop them in that? Are they collaborative? So, you know, trying to move away from people working in silos. Do they have they got evidence of effective collaboration, either, you know, across sectors, across disciplines, across regions, in an advancement of the work that they're doing? And finally, in terms of engagement and advocacy, how effectively have they increased engagement or awareness of antimicrobial resistance? And so those last 7 you'll have, oh, I think there's only 5 on here, but this should probably, let me just go back. Yeah, I think they've molded a couple of them together, but those last 7 criteria, so the fields, we've added 2 of them together in this thing, just because the criteria, the scoring rubric will be the same. But essentially, so 1 will be minimal, you'll be very familiar with this type of scoring. 5 will be exceptional, so we'll ask you to rank each of the 7 fields on these 5 criteria, looking at sort of, if you look at collaboration, for example, moving from works pretty much independently all the way through to sort of outstanding leadership, recognized for working across disciplines and organizations. And that pattern is mirrored across all 7 of those fields. And then once you've all done your shortlisting, the scores will all come back to us. We'll have a platform set up for you to do that, whether that's, I'm not sure exactly what that's going to look like yet, but we'll share all that information in terms of access to it. So that will all come back to us. As I've said, we'll ensure those top ranked individuals represent a range of geographies and disciplines. We will then circulate the completed list to all of the nominating organisations. That list will be embargoed, so that when we do the announcement in November, we can make quite a large sort of celebration of it. It can be sort of quite a novel announcement at that point, which will be that sort of additional comms package, and then the prizes will be awarded at the summit in 2026. So that's probably a whistle-stop tour from me of the process. But just the sort of key things, you've obviously all got the opportunity to feed into the shortlisting process. If you've got any concerns or queries or something that you'd like to add into that shortlisting process or the criteria, then please let us know and we can review that. So I'll send around the slides after this call. You have the recording of the call. The host, the sort of final decision in terms of what that criteria and the process look like will stay sitting with the two host organizations, but we'd really value any input from all of you on, if you think we're missing something. Finally, yeah, just please don't release the winners or your key people until we have completed the process, and also if we can keep this shortlisting process embargoed until it's complete, that would be fantastic as well. And then any questions, there's my email address. If you can keep Amish CC'd in, because he will be back from a paternity leave at the end of June, and you've got his communications. If you're emailing him, please make sure that you CC me, and so that between us we've got everything covered. So that's it from me. Branwen, thank you for putting that in the chat. You've put the summit prospectus. That's the summit for February 2026. I'm going to stop sharing and just invite any questions from anybody. Toby.
An actual hand and a virtual hand as well. I'm sorry if I've missed the term, but the host organizations you said, that's not the same as a nominating organization. Who are the host organizations? Sorry.
No, don't be sorry. It's lots of very similar terms. So the host organizations is Fleming and CSIRO as the sort of Trailblazers program, and then the nominating organizations are all of you who've all submitted your 5, and then we'll join the shortlisting process.
As a Fleming, I would say Fleming Initiative, not Fleming Fund, then I presume.
So you would say Fleming. You're from Fleming Fund, right? So if I said Fleming, I mean Fleming Initiative. Yeah.
Right. Got it.
Molly.
Overview. Thank you. I was just curious if you have a rough estimate of the long list, recognizing that there are a few that are still coming in, and then confirming what I think you said, which is that when we get to the time to announce, there will be some prompts and material to support comms, so that it's kind of has a stitched up look and feel. Thanks.
No, that's a great question. Thanks, Molly. So in terms of a long list, I don't know in terms of exactly how many individual nominees we've got at the moment. I don't know, Chris, whether you've got access to that number now. Obviously, they may be shortened down in terms of after our eligibility.
I think it's about 25 when I looked earlier.
Thank you. So yeah, 25 from the individual process, and then there's around 8 nominating organizations, so another 5 per that. So we're probably looking at around 60 in total. That being said, some of those may well be duplicates, so it might come down from that. Toby.
Sorry, one more question. So we've got in the Fleming Fund, we've got a number of different strands of the program. Most obvious for this is our fellowship program, where we've seen an amazing contribution from female fellows to national and regional and sometimes global impact. The second is our regional grants program. I don't think we're going to get into country grants because there's too many of them and it's too nebulous, really. But the regional grantees have also done that. So I suppose I've got 2 clarification questions, if that's okay. One is there an expectation for the nominating organisation to have some kind of process? So we've got 2 of my colleagues who run respectively the fellowship scheme and the regional grants program. So is it okay if I just ask them for some names and nominees, and then further discuss it with that? Or is there an expectation that we put out some kind of more equitable approach? I expect we've got we've got a live fellowship program now, but I would probably stick to the fellows that have completed their fellowship in the last year or so. So there's about 150 about 120 female fellows in our alumni scheme at the moment, some of whom obviously we don't hear from anymore, but some of whom have really flown. So I suppose the question is, what's the expectation from you guys around the process that we run to make it, whether we have to make it equitable, or as the nominating organisation, we can pick the people that we think are the real trailblazers? That's
Yeah, so I think it's a great question, and it is important to make sure it's an equitable process. That is why we've had that separate individual
right.
Nominations, so that, you know, people who do fall out, you know, there's people doing great work that may not be known very well by, you know, the nominating organisation. So it's an opportunity for them to be able to be put forwards.
Sure.
As a nominating organisation, yeah, we wouldn't ask that you did another call for, you know, expressions of interest, or, you know, that's for you to choose your 5 nominees, and then you've got.
Okay, fine.
So
great. Okay, great. And I suppose I've shown my cards, but thanks for being so diplomatic in saying that there's only one organisation that hasn't yet submitted nominations, but I'll put my hand up, so that's me.
We haven't either.
Maybe there's 2. Maybe Amish told me.
Okay, all right. Well, Julie, you and I were in it together.
Yeah, we're on it. We've got a meeting this week, and hopefully we'll get your shortlist quite quickly.
We'll definitely sort something out in the next couple of weeks for you, for sure.
Thank you. You're all within the deadline, so thank you very much. Brilliant. Are there any more questions from anybody?
I agree with the blinding process, although it will be hard if you're going to describe their activities and put the list of publications out there, aren't they? How do you maintain?
So publications is challenging. We probably need to discuss internally exactly how we do that. It may be that we redact the names on the publication, for example, but it's not, you know, it's not foolproof. You can always look at, you can always put the title into Google, you know, or maybe we just say we'll think about the best way to do that. Perhaps we may just say, you know, this person has had 5 peer-reviewed first author articles. I'm not sure exactly what that will look like, but I think it is difficult to completely anonymize these, as if for any job recruitment, you know, you try to minimize it, but you can, especially if you're familiar with the work in the field. But we will do our best to sort of make these as non-biased as possible.
Okay.
Sorry, I had one more question, if that's okay. I mean, the expectation presumably is that we work with the nominees to submit or are we doing it without their? I mean, presumably they have to know. It's not supposed to come to them as a surprise.
I mean, it can do. That's
okay.
In terms of how you want to.
Okay. All right. Great. Thank you.
No problem.
Is there just on that though? Because the couple of people that I've already started to sort of fill the form and stuff in for, I've not notified them.
Yeah.
I thought
I think that's fine. I think it's probably better if you don't notify them, but there's no hard and fast rules on it. As you know, we do want, as said in the criteria, you know, if all of you nominate the same person, that should be reflected in their score. So I guess what you want to avoid is, Julie, let's say you're nominating someone, and then Toby, you say to them, I'm going to nominate you, and they say, oh no, don't, because Julie already is. You sort of want to avoid that, because they would get points for having the nomination from both of you. So that's the kind of main reason to not sort of, but as you know, it's not embargoed, it's not secret. We just ask that you don't publicize that information so that we can do the big announcement in November.
Sorry, one more. I'm sure there'll be more anyway, but this is across sectoral, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And we'd encourage that as much as possible, you know, to have that geographical spread, One Health spread, you know, just different disciplines. We definitely want it to be a very representative group. And with up to, I think we're, you know, aiming between 10 and 20, if that should allow for that ability to really have that representation of different work that's going on in the field. Thanks, Bramwell, for your comments. You know, it's not just about publications. There's lots of any prominent work that they're doing in their field is all important. That's just used as an example. Fantastic. Well, if there's no other questions, I will let you all get on with your very busy days in whatever stage you are at them. I will circulate the slides. We'll put I'll recirculate this recording in case anyone wants to reflect back on it. Any questions at all, just email myself and Amish with Amish CC'd in, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. But yeah, hopefully it should all be fairly straightforward and self-explanatory.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.